Mhm. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Town Hall for the 2023 through 2024 student member of the Board of Education. My name is Amira Bujma, and I am the current student member on the Board of Education. I want to allow our three SMOB candidates the opportunity to introduce themselves, starting with Francesca. Just state your full name, grade, and school.
Hello, I'm Francesca Onianwah. I'm a junior at North Point High School.
All right, Treasure, next.
Treasure Perkins. I'm a sophomore at Thomas Stone High School.
And then finally, Jamiyah.
I'm Jamiyah. I'm a junior at St. Charles.
Okay, thank you guys. So now I'm going to explain the rules of the town hall. Each of you will be asked a question and you will have 2 minutes to respond. We will give you a warning when you have 30 seconds left. We will alternate between the candidates to see who will answer the question in what order. So are we ready to begin? All right, guys. So the very first question is, why do you want to be the student member of the Board of Education? And the order we're going to go in is Francesca, then Jamiyah, then Treasure.
So to answer your question, Amira, I want to be the student member of the board because I believe it's a representative position. I believe that I'm able to represent the voice of the student. I always found myself to be a very vocal person, and as a student in Charles County, I get to experience the problems and the issues that we talk about firsthand. And I've decided to myself that it's important to speak up about it. And as student member of the board, I feel like that position will give me a chance not only to talk about the issues that I experience, but the things that go on around the county.
Do I just go? Yeah. I believe that I'll make a good candidate. Oh, I want to run for student member of the board just because I want to give students a voice, and I feel I can do that because I've always felt like I've never had a voice, and to have someone be able to give me a voice, it would make me very happy. And I want to do that to other people who feel they just can't speak up about what they want, and they just feel voiceless.
The reason that I want to run for a student member of the board is to make a change and to have a voice for the students in Charles County so that they can see the things that they want changed, so that we can have a better education and that we can learn more, and just to be like safer in general, and just to make sure that everybody feels like they have a voice.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So the next question is, as the student member of the board, you are the representative of over 27,000 students. How do you intend to represent the entire student body and effectively vocalize their opinions? So this time we're going to start with Jamiyah, go to Treasure, and then Francesca.
In order to effectively hear the voice of all 27 students, I would try and create maybe like a page where students can go with all their concerns, and I could look through them, and I would be able to hear their concerns and voice them whenever I got the opportunity.
How I would effectively vocalize their opinions, I would frequently or periodically visit the schools to just get opinions and to see what's going on in the school and what they want to see changed. I would also do something like a suggestion box so that when people have issues, they could put it in the suggestion box, and then I can go back, look at those suggestions, and then bring them to the board.
So as student member of the board, I feel like it's my job to outreach to the students, not exactly they come to me. So what I would do is, because I know many students in our county use social media, I would make a social media page where they could with questions, suggestions, concerns, and that way it's easier for those who may not feel that comfortable in speaking in a public setting, like doing the school visits. They would be able to voice their concerns to me over on an online way of messaging, and that way I'd be able to communicate what I gain from all the DMs.
All right, awesome. So question 3, what is a common issue that you have been seeing that hasn't been resolved or addressed? How do you plan to make a change as a student member of the board? So the order will be Treasurer Francesca Onianwah.
As the SGA school president, an issue that I have seen that I feel hasn't been addressed is school safety, just around like county-wide. There has been a lot of incidents with fights, with people entering the building, having to go on lockdown. So I feel like a main issue is safety.
As a student in North Point High School, an issue I haven't seen redress deals specifically with our dress code and how we handle enforcing the dress code. I've witnessed many times students, specifically girls, getting pulled out of class AP weighted classes, college courses, because of what they were dressed. And in my opinion, if the dress code is based off of distracting other students, I believe that pulling other students out of class because of what they're wearing distracts from learning altogether. And my plan to address that would be to, again, as student member of the board, if I were to reach that position, to bring that up in a meeting and voice the student concerns about this problem.
A concern I've been seeing is students not really being able to keep their grades up to the standard they were before COVID, and they've been struggling more. So, yeah, they've been struggling more. And because of this, I feel because of this, because students have different learning styles, and due COVID, they developed different learning styles because they were on a screen, and that's how they were learning for almost 2 years. I feel because of that huge jump from out of school then back into school, that they still haven't really adjusted back to that. So, as a student member of the board, I would try and maybe those um, promote those other ways that they could learn, whether they learn better out of school, online, and so they'll be able to do that and get their grades back up to the standard they were before COVID. And
Okay, thank you. So now question 4. What suggestions do you have to improve student and faculty safety in Charles County Public Schools? The order will be Francesca, Jamiyah, and Treasurer.
My plan to improve student safety, I know a big concern for me personally has been with dropping off and early dismissal, verifying that whoever's there to pick you up is actually someone who is allowed to be in the school, one, and is a certified guardian. In order to improve on that safety, I would make sure that not only adults who pick up their students are required to have an ID with them, but also students who are entering a building from a drop off or whatever are wearing IDs to ensure that they go to our school. Whenever there's an activity going on that allows students in different schools to enter our building, I would make sure that no matter what, you have an ID on you to get inside the function.
Well, like Francesca said, there's been an issue with people coming in the building. Personally, at my school, we've had many instances where students that were from different schools came into ours, and we've had to teachers had to kick them out because they were not supposed to be there. So in order to like keep the students safe, I believe that I also agree with Francesca that students should be more verified when they come in the building, and that there should be a main entrance where people can come in, because people can just let people in from anywhere. So it should be like not so easy just to open a door and let maybe your friend in from another school to come in your school and possibly put people in danger. And that is safety for the teachers too, because they're also at risk when you're opening those doors for people who are not supposed to be there, and they can also get injured if something were to occur.
Well, I would like to improve safety for the students and faculty. I would like to have SROs having more like supervised authority in the school so that they can do more and have more power. And also following the protocols that are on most of the school doors, which is buzzing in at the door, showing your ID, and stating the reason and the person that you are here at the school to see. Because at my school, there has been multiple incidents where my mom has came to the school and has just been buzzed in the building without any like asking why she's there. And there has been incidents where other people have been entered in the school and have hurt other students that go to my school. And that's something that's dangerous for us students and for faculty. So I believe that SROs should have more power and people, like they said, should have more identification so that everybody is safe.
All right, awesome. Question 5. What are your opinions on the dress code, and what is one change you would like to see made to the dress code? The order will be Jamiyah, Treasure, then Francesca.
I think that more recently the dress code has become a little more unfair towards certain groups or like minorities, because there have been multiple instances where I've had friends come to class complaining that they have been, chased down by a teacher because maybe their jacket was too low, and they've been like chased down the hall because they weren't adhering to the standards or their standards that of their dress. So in order to, and one change I would like to see made is that everybody is held to the same standard in like in schools about how they're addressed, because I've seen people two people wear the exact same thing and only one gets chastised for it while the other is free to walk perfectly fine throughout their day in what they are wearing. So
With the dress code, I believe that it should be like an equal thing because I see a lot of guys in my school wearing like wife beaters or tank tops, and they're okay, they're allowed to walk around the school like that. But when we wear like a tank top or things of that nature, we get in trouble for it. They give us like oversized t-shirts or they send us home or they make us change. And also like not be able to be comfortable. We're not allowed to like, wear pajama pants and things and just be comfortable all the time.
Well, I agree with both Jemiah and Treasures. My opinion on the dress code is it's outdated for this modern world. I believe that the purpose of the dress code is to ensure that everyone is dressed appropriately and responsibly. And its entire purpose is to ensure that nobody is distracted from learning from the clothes that somebody is wearing. But as they both gave perfect examples, there should never be a case where a student is chased in the hallway or a student is pulled out of class because of what they are wearing. That act alone of taking a student away from their class is what distracts them from the learning environment in general. So I believe that the dress code needs to be updated and it needs to be consistent between both of the genders because they're in both and different types of body shapes, because there's no reason why a plus size girl should be reprimanded for wearing leggings as compared to someone who may be of a smaller weight. That inconsistency shows that the dress code is outdated and that there needs to be revision.
Okay, great. So question 6. We often learn more from our failures rather than our successes. What has been your biggest mistake or regret as a student, and what did you learn from this? So we're going to begin with Treasure, go to Francesca, then to Maya.
My biggest mistake, I would probably say, wait, can you restate the question really fast?
Of course, 1 second. We often learn from our failures rather than our successes. What has been your biggest mistake or regret as a student, and what did you learn from them?
Biggest regret as a student would probably be procrastination and waiting the last minute to do things, because then that causes me to fall behind in the things that I need to do, like getting my grades up in certain classes. So my biggest thing is procrastinating and waiting last minute to do things.
My biggest regret as a student is not trying for leadership roles or getting more involved in my community. I've always found that to be something I regretted, and I didn't do it sophomore year because I was afraid. I didn't think I'd be successful in it, so I didn't even dare to try. And now that I'm running for the position, it's something that I'm proud of myself for at least attempting to do. So I get to look back at the regrets and tell myself that I at least tried.
My biggest regret as a student, I feel, is not getting out there more and expressing myself more, because I feel I've had many opportunities in school to gain more knowledge or better or like chances, and I've never taken them because I was always nervous and scared, especially last year after we all just came back. And now as a junior with only 3 years left till I'm a senior in my last year, I feel this is a great opportunity to be able to get out there and get experiences and be able to help people, because that's what I like to do. And now I can finally do that if I win this position.
Okay, so question 7. How will you help promote a positive learning environment in Charles County Public Schools? This will go Trevor, Francesca, and Jamiyah.
I would promote another way of learning styles would be asking students how do they learn and what can help them, and then promoting that and bringing it to the teachers and maybe getting them to learn different techniques and different ways to teach so that it effectively helps everybody and it helps the students. So the teachers would be learning different techniques to teach us so that we could effectively learn and get the grades that we need to get.
My plan to create a positive learning environment would be to create this space where students feel comfortable voicing their concerns. I know a lot of students, and in which creates a negative learning environment, a lot of students get discouraged when they see their failing grades, have teachers who don't understand them. So my plan to create a positive learning environment is to allow those conversations to happen for students to be able to voice their concerns to teacher and in the classroom. That would look like having time aside for students to have one-on-one conversation with their teachers, create a plan to help their learning environment, create a plan to help their grades so that and it could create a
My plan to create a positive learning environment would to be finding maybe different ways to help students learn. Like by maybe they learn better online. And I know there are online classes that Charles County established, but maybe promoting them more, because I know some students who did do better virtually, who did learn better online. And I feel maybe if that's promoted more, those students can go back to online and learning at home and learning in an environment. Maybe they felt safer there. So being able to learn somewhere where they feel safe and comfortable, I feel would really.
Okay, question 8. How do you plan to address the issue of bullying and cyberbullying in schools? The order will be Francesca, Jamiyah, and Francesca.
My plan to address bullying and cyberbullying in our schools would look like having perhaps a team dedicated to looking at students online. I know that Charles County employees aren't allowed to follow any CCPS students, online, but it would still look like maybe having a team of students dedicated to looking at interactions online to make sure that there's nothing inappropriate or nothing that's insensitive going on. And in terms of bullying in school, whenever an issue happens, my plan to solve that would not be just to send the student home for suspension or ISR, but it would be to create an actual mediation space where if bullying did occur, that a conversation can happen and a mature resolution.
I plan to address the issue of bullying and cyberbullying in schools by uh, sorry by for cyberbullying I would rather have I don't I'm sorry, I'm getting a little confused. Can you repeat the question like out loud?
How do you plan to address the issue of bullying and cyberbullying in school?
I plan to address the issue of bullying and cyberbullying in schools by or bullying in school bullying. If like people see stuff, I would rather, them maybe like slip a note in like a counselor's inventory box and they could grab the students and they could resolve it like in person and like talk it out. And if they cannot talk it out, I would rather not just like automatically place it. I would rather I would rather them try and resolve it in person rather than just, leaving it out there and like punishing a student, because if a student is punished, they're automatically going to be more upset that they got in trouble for something that they that they were doing. So they might take it out on the student more. And for cyberbullying, I would maybe, like Treasure said, dedicate a group of students who are willing to like look on student social medias from the school and inform them if anything unlawful is occurring online towards their students, so that the right authorities can be addressed and a student can be safe.
Well, I plan to address bullying and cyberbullying. For cyberbullying, people can make anonymous reports about people that are making threats or that are bullying people online, and then that could be addressed later on. And also, how Francesca said about like having some students or whatever then monitor those things and report it back to other people so that it can be prevented later, because I've seen online where cyberbullying has occurred and it's caused fights to end up happening inside of school. And as far as bullying in school, if a bullying is seen or brought to faculty's attention, I feel as though those students that are bullying need to be held accountable and have the right consequences, and that they need to have mandatory counseling for a couple of weeks and sign a contract with them and their parent so that it doesn't happen again.
Okay, great. Question 9. How will you budget your time to ensure the school is a priority? Starting with Jamiyah, going to Treasure, then Francesca.
I would measure my time to make sure the schools are a priority by constantly being like vigilant to what's happening and how people are feeling, and being able to distribute that throughout my day about how I'm going to be able to make sure to be able to make sure that everybody's getting what they need, and being able to uh, make sure and feel that their voice is being heard by people who are going to be hearing them. So I would go throughout my day, checking and always being vigilant to how. Oh, I didn't answer. Sorry, I'm sorry. I totally messed the one up.
I would budget my time to ensure that the school or that this role is a priority. As SGA president, I would get in contact with the other presidents at the school and have a bi-weekly or like every 2 weeks meeting with them to talk and to see what's going on in the other schools so that we can figure out what's going on and figure out ways to fix them.
In terms of making this role a priority and making school a priority, I find it already easy because I'm in school 5 days a week. So school is priority. It's something that I'm experiencing on a day-to-day basis. As for me, as SMOB, I would incorporate pieces of that into my day-to-day basis, whether it be having conversations with students at my school and a little bit of what Treasure already said, communicating with presidents and people in leadership positions in other schools. That way, make that there's a constant flow of information going around and that there's no cutoff when it comes to communicating my role as SMOB.
Okay, cool. Question 10, and this is the final question. The student member of the board is a highly influential role with the opportunity to leave a long-lasting impact. What impact do you want to leave on the students of Charles County? In other words, what will be your legacy? So this will go Treasure, Francesca, and Jamiyah.
My legacy that I would like to leave is one, starting with safety so that every student in Charles County feels safe going to school and that parents feel safe sending their children to school. The other priority or my other legacy that I would like to leave is just making an impact and making students feel heard and making the right changes to the county so that everybody can effectively learn and be happy.
As for me, I want my legacy as SMOB to be a sort of destruction of that disconnect that students and teachers often feel. I feel that as I spent more than 8 years in the public school system, I've always felt like my teachers have never understood me, and I've heard this same report from other people. As SMOB, I want my legacy for it to be that students finally feel like they're cared about in school and they finally feel that they're supported. I know that for many of us, school is something that we're tired of going to. We've been doing it for years and years, but I don't want any student to be discouraged. I want my legacy to be that students feel that school is a place where they feel encouraged to go to and they feel like it's going to be a reliable source of academic and emotional support.
I would want my legacy as student member of the board to be as someone who cared and was like active with all the students' concerns. And I would like my impact to be that I cared enough to like help students with their education. I cared enough to help students improve the way things are with like the dress code and like how they are feeling with like other people and the teachers. I would want to be known as someone who was there and was always watching and making sure they felt fine and that they were happy and cared about their concerns. I would want to be known as someone who was there and always with them.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So that concludes our candidates town hall. That's pretty much it. Thank you guys. You guys had great answers and it was very informative. Definitely feel like we know each of the candidates a lot better now. So that's it. Good night, everyone.